has arrived with its mercy. Blessings, forgiveness for everyone. We thank the Lord for Ramadan.
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. My dear brothers and sisters and my dear viewers, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Riad Ouarzazi and I welcome you back into another episode of Reflections of Ramadan. In the last episode we talked about obedience of the parents and its meaning and importance in Islam. And today inshallah ta'ala, as we understand that our parents have rights upon us, but do our children have any rights? So what are those rights? If yes, what are those rights? We often talk about, parenting and we talk about, obedience to the parents, but a lot of times we tend to ignore that other side of the coin, which is our children. Do they have any rights? So, and that would be the topic of today's lecture, insha'Allah ta'ala. My brothers, one time there was a man who came to Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu arda, and then he came complaining about his son. Then he brought his son with him, and then he was complaining to Umar ibn Khattab about the fact that his son does not listen to him, doesn't honor him, doesn't respect him, doesn't listen. So as Umar was listening, and then the boy turned to Umar and says, "Okay, ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I know that my father has rights upon me. Do I have any rights upon him?" And then Umar ibn Khattab said, "Yes." And then the boy said, "Okay, what are my rights as a son?" He says, "Your rights from your dad is that, number one, he has to, choose a good mother for you, a pious mother to give you, to raise you in a good Islamic environment. Number two, to pick a good name for you. Number three, he has to teach you Quran, that teach you Islam, teach you deen, teach you khuluq, manners, morals." And then the boy said, "Oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, how about if I tell you that my father didn't do none of these? He did not do any, none of these." And then the Umar turned to that man and he says, "You have in fact dishonored your kid before he dishonored you." So sometimes, you find these kids who are orphans. They have parents, yet they are orphans. The parents are not there to raise them, to educate them, to discipline them. So who in fact takes the turn of the parents? TV or internet. Constantly on the internet, they come home, they're busy with the internet, they're busy with watching TV or playing games and whatnot. They can hardly say the parents, the father is busy. He comes home, he thinks he's the Minister of Finance. Some parents think they are the Ministers of Finance, that their only role is to take care of, the bills and pay the bills and the expenses. Educating or disciplining the kids, they think it's the role of the mother. So he comes home, he's tired, he takes a bite, he eats, and then goes, picks up the remote control and goes make tasbih with the remote control, watching TV, flipping channels. Or some mothers who are constantly busy with, being with the mirror. They love the mirror so much that sometimes some mothers, they sleep with the mirror in the bed, thinking, looking at the mirror all the time, beautifying themselves and whatnot. Who's for the, or, oftentimes outside also, shopping here and there, but who's for the kids? And then when something happens, when the musibah happens, they come crying to the imam or the sheikh, "Help, help ya sheikh." What happens? Our children, my son, my daughter, not listening to me. She brought this guy, or he brought this girl. He wants to marry her, or she wants to marry this guy. We don't approve of this. And then they come talking to, and then you say, "Okay, what were you when your son, when your daughter, when your child wanted to talk to you? Where were you? What were you? When your son wanted some directions, some guidelines, what were you? You're busy." So today, inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to try to give you some directives or guidelines that will hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, improve that relationship between you and your children. Let me just share some thoughts with you here about some complaints made by some youth, by some kids, with regard to their parents. One of them, I went around asking the youth, because I'm a consultant and counselor, talking to the youth. So I've got these complaints from them. A lot of them said that my parents do not understand me. They just don't understand me. I'm talking a language, they're talking something totally different. Some of them say that they don't have time for me. My parents just don't have time for me. Others say, I need a role model at home and I cannot find one. How many of you, like, if I were to ask your children, who's your role model? If I ask your child, who's your role model? Most children would say, maybe this soccer player, basketball player, baseball player, maybe this singer. But few of them would say, my role model is my dad. My role model is my mom. Are you a role model for your children? I know it hurts, huh? Some of them say, I learned professional lying at home. My father lying all the time, my mother lying, so that's what I learned, professional lying. Why don't pray Fajr? Well, none of my parents do. My father does not pray Fajr, my mother does. Why should I? Hijab? Why should I put hijab? My mother doesn't care, my father doesn't care, even my mother doesn't put hijab. Why should I put hijab? You have sometimes, you see these parents taking their kids to these Islamic schools where they learn about morals and manners and learn about salah, learn about praying on time, learn about waking up for Fajr, learn about hijab. The own mother sometimes who drives the kid, she does not wear hijab, and then the daughter learns about hijab, she comes home, she's confused. I don't know, they tell me about hijab, nobody puts hijab in my house. I learned about salah at school. They told me about salah, they told me about Quran, they told me about to pray on time, they told me about praying in the masjid, about Fajr, going to Fajr in the masjid. Nobody does it at my home. My father sleeps the whole night, doesn't wake up for Fajr, nor my mother. So I'm confused. We have confused our own children, with all the respect. Some of them say, why I'm not married? Well, because my father or my mother says, either your cousin Ahmed or your cousin Ahmed, choose one. Or your cousin Fatima or your cousin Fatima. I'm giving you two options, choose one. It's either him or him, yani the same guy or the same girl. I know. Or my parents have no clue. A lot of them say, my parents have no clue to the challenges facing me. They don't know what's going on. What I'm going through at school or at work, outside, the fitna, the temptations out there. They have no clue of the challenges that are facing me. And so on and so forth. So I'd like to ask you some questions maybe, before I give you these directions, and just to think here, let's think together and see where we stand here. And then we can look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as how he was ﷺ with his kids, with Fatima, treated Hassan wal Hussein. Do you praise your children? Really? Do you praise them when they try to do, even when they fail? MashaAllah, you tried. It doesn't matter if you fail, but you've tried. It's okay. But do you ever praise them? Do you have fun with your children? Do you use humor? Do you laugh with them? Do you? I don't know. How do you talk to them? Do you talk to? Do you talk at? Do you listen to them? One sister came to me one time, she called me, she said, well, my daughter, she has all these kind of questions. She's a teenager. I'm kind of embarrassed to ask her questions. To answer her questions. And I said, please, I don't know. I said, shame on you, sister. Open up. Because you know what? She will get those answers, either from you or from somebody else. Most likely now, because you said no, she will get those answers maybe from the street, maybe from school. And most likely they will be the wrong answers. We can open up with our own children. Do you give love? Do you say to your children that you love them? The Prophet Muhammad, there was this man who saw the Prophet Muhammad kissing Al-Hassan wal-Hussein. Al-Aqra' ibn Habis, he saw the Prophet Muhammad kissing Al-Hassan wal-Hussein, playing with them, and then Aqra' says, oh, do you people kiss your kids? Do you people kiss your kids? I have 10 kids, I've never hugged nor kissed any of them. And you know what the Prophet told him? He says, it looks like Allah has snatched rahmah off of your heart. Man la yarham la yurham. Whosoever does not show mercy upon people, Allah will not show mercy upon him or her. What kind of man are you? Even your children, you don't hug them, you don't see it. You know what they say, the experts? When they talk about emotional intelligence, something that your child needs more than food and water and anything else, money, is really those emotions, those hugs, those beautiful words like I love you. Really. You know, more than anything else. We think that, you know, I'm giving them, they know that I love them, really. I mean, look what I'm doing for them. I'm buying things for them. They know I love them. Ya akhi, they may know, but you've got to tell them. Ukhti, my sister, my brother, my dear viewers, open up. Naam, give them a hug. It's all right. They are your children. And tell them that you love them, that you care about them. They want to hear that from you. They need that more than, you know, really anything else, and it's a study showing that. Are you a leader by example? Do you lead by example? I told you not to smoke. Dad, you smoke, and you tell me not to smoke? You drink, you tell me not to drink? Are we confusing our own children? You know, imagine a guy coming to his wife and writing a letter, today, my wife, I am resigning from my job as, you know, not a father, but as my job, disciplining my kids. My own responsibility lies in paying the expenses, but you are responsible about, you know, dealing with my kids and raising them and disciplining them. I'm resigning. And then he signs and he gives that letter to his wife. What do you think of this dad? He's lost his mind. Or mother, on the other hand, she writes a letter to her husband saying the same thing, saying, oh, dear my husband, I just want to let you know that as of today, I'm resigning from disciplining my kids. My only responsibility is just take care of myself and you know, maybe of you whenever I have time. And what would you think of this mother? Like a school who's shut down. A mother, she's a school. Al-Umm, madrasa. How about if that school just shuts down? Imagine, you know, and unfortunately, a lot of our families, we have these mothers and fathers, or like I said in the beginning, you know, our children orphans. You know, they do have their parents, but, you know, they feel like they're orphans. They're not there. The parents are not there for them. Yes, we are asking for our rights. But before asking for our rights, we also have to fulfill our obligations. Our obligations towards them.
Every word we thank the Lord. We thank the Lord.
Yes, we are asking for our rights. But before asking for our rights, we also have to fulfill our obligations. Our obligations towards them. Being with them, listening to them, talking to them nicely. A guy came to me, you know, right after a lecture, you know, and he came to me in the masjid complaining about his son. And then the son all of a sudden says, okay, when his dad finished, he says, Dad, every time I try to talk to you, you tell me that I don't understand and you understand. That I don't know and you know. You always corner me. You don't let me, you know, express my views or opinions. That's why I try to avoid you, because every time we try to have an intelligent discussion or conversation with you, it doesn't go anywhere. Because you're the dad and I'm always the son. I understand. But you don't give me no option to talk or converse with you. And the dad was just like, he put his, you know, head between his knees. Imagine. So we need to go back and, you know, and try to just answer these questions before I can share with you some of the directives on techniques and ways to improve your relationship with your children. You know, let's think, insha'Allah ta'ala, about, you know, these questions here. Am I a leader by example? Am I my child's best friend? If I were to ask your child, who's your best friend? Would he say my dad or my mom? She's my best friend? I don't know. You ask yourselves. I don't know. Sometimes we confuse them. Really. Today this is halal, tomorrow it's haram. I'm confused, Dad. You tell me not to do something, yesterday was okay, now you tell me no? Or yeah. Or today is yes, tomorrow is... I mean, we confuse them in so many ways. So, you know, again, the question about, do you give praise, do you talk to them or at them, do you listen to them, do you spend time with your children? I'm talking about quality time. I know you're busy, but you know, these are your children again. Do you spend time with them? Do you? When I talked about leading by example, look at the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Ibn Abbas, you know, eating together, and Ibn Abbas was eating from everywhere, and then he says that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, Ya bunay, Sammillah, wa kul mimma yalik, you know, and then, oh son, say Bismillah, and then eat from your side. Don't just have your hands going right, left, and center. You know, he's trying to be and lead by example, and also pick the right time for giving them, you know, advice. Do you reprimand them all the time in like excess reprimand and rebuke? Every time they do something like, you know, your son, again, here is an example. A son drops a glass, he breaks it, and then you come and ask him who broke it, and then he says me, and then you just slap him. Okay. The next time he breaks another glass, and then you come and ask him who broke that glass, you think he's going to say me? He's going to lie. And who taught him how to lie? I did, you did, as a dad or as a mom. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, look how the Sahaba, they used to pay so, you know, this meticulous attention on the ways of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, you know, as a leader by example. The Sahabi came, again, Ibn Abbas, you know, he was a little boy at the time, and he says he came to pray with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, you know, at night. And then the Prophet stood up, you know, woke up to pray the night prayer. And then he came and he stood on the left of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, so the Prophet moved him to his right. He moved him to his right. He says, Ibn Abbas says, فَتَوَضَّأَ, the Prophet Muhammad, he stood up to pray Qiyam al-Layl, فَتَوَضَّأَ وُضُوءًا خَفِيفًا. Number one, they said the Prophet ﷺ made very light wudu. Look at how meticulous attention they pay here. The Prophet, he made a very light wudu. فَتَوَضَّأَ وُضُوءًا خَفِيفًا. And then he went to pray, so I went to his left side, and then he moved me to his right. And then we prayed. And I prayed behind him. Alayhi salatu wassalam. He would sit with the Sahaba, and then comes Fatima. He would stand up from his side. He would stand up from his seat. And then he would go. He would hug Fatima. Give her a hug and kiss her on her forehead. And he would make her stay and sit with him, alayhi salatu wasalam. That's who? That's Rasulullah, a leader by example, alayhi salatu wasalam. So let us invest. As people want to invest in businesses and properties. But you know, the investment that I'm proposing to you here today is let's invest in our children. How can we invest in our children? So let me share with you, inshallah ta'ala, some tips for the parents on how to spend or how to maybe improve their relationship with their children. Number one, take parenting seriously. Amana, wallahi, it is amana, is a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your son may come in the day of judgment and hold you from your neck and you say, oh Allah, it is my dad or my mom, they did not teach me, they did not tell me. We come sometimes in Ramadan and then we bring our kids and, excuse my language, we dump them and then we go out, you know, either we pray Taraweeh and we leave our kids praying outside, breaking windows, or even we go, some people, wallah, some people, they bring their children to the masjid and then they go out shopping. What kind of confusion is this? What kind of contradiction is this? Take parenting seriously. Number two, reduce working hours in exchange with time with your children. This is, you may disagree with me again, but that's up to you. Really, it's up to you if you want to do this or not, but these are your children. I'm saying, yes, reduce. We know we have priorities. We know we have obligations, but these are our children. If we are so much busy with life and we're forgetting our children, by all means, my brothers and sisters, if you live outside of, of your birth country, maybe you should pack up your bag and go back to your country. If you migrated, just for money and for whatnot, with all due respect, but you are, in fact, neglecting your kids, wallahi, my advice is pack your bags and maybe go back to where you came from. I'm sorry to say that, but your kids, who's, in fact, disciplining them, like I said, and I know this as a counselor, I know, and I deal with things like this, people complaining, my kids, but then I ask the parents, where were you? And then you talk to the kids and they don't know what's going on. My father never told me anything. Internet is everywhere, TV is everywhere. You go to some houses, TV in this room and that room, even in the washroom now they have a plasma TV, man. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Number three, be a role model. You are the role model for your children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you in the day of judgment. Number 4, respect your children. If you want them really to respect you, respect your kids, your daughters, your sons. Show some respect to them. Respect your teens. And also another maybe inshallah ta'ala an advice or tip to improve that relationship. Date your children. What does it mean? Date your children meaning one day I'm gonna take my son out, just me and my son. We're just gonna go out bonding, me and my son. Let's talk. Me and my daughter another day, I'm gonna, today you and my daughter, me and my daughter, we're going out, coffee or walking or whatnot, and then just me and my daughter having a great time together, talking, bonding. Listen to your children. There's a difference between, again, listening to or listening at, but again, listening is such an effective tool that will help you, communicating not only with your children, but with people at large. To build this effective listening tool here. Try to learn how to listen to your children. Look at them when they're talking. Show interest in what they do. Listen to their problems, to their concerns. If you want to build that trust, how can they, trust you with their secrets, with their problems if you don't listen to them, if you don't give them a chance to express their feelings? Or every time they want to express their feelings, we say, oh, come on, that's silly. We're talking about emotional intelligence. Right there, you shut them off. You think they're going to come back to you and talk to you? Think again. Build a masjid in your home. A masjid in your home, meaning like a musalla, praying in your home. We'll buy these places instead of like a musalla. If we not praying in the masjid, then we pray here together, and have some sort of halaqah in your home. Halaqat ilm. Invite the angels to your homes. Naam. I call it circle time. Circle time, really. With your children, you turn off your cell phones, turn off TV, turn off everything, and then just you and your children. And do some sort of halaqah. Today, your child, or maybe your son, would prepare some ayah or some hadith. Next day is you and your wife. And then maybe 5-7 minutes. Just little hadith, little Quran, reading together. And then listening to them talking. Okay, son, what is it? How was your day at school? What are you planning? And then we're talking about maybe plans for the summer, maybe plans for the weekends. You talk, just some bonding with your children. Circle time. We're so busy, aren't we? That sometimes even food, we eat, like the father eats driving, the mother eats in the kitchen, the guy, the son eats in his room, walking. Where are we? And then we complain. Maybe also establish a Muslim library in your home, so that, like I said, sometimes you can, pick some good, nice books and have some sort of, halaqah. You have maybe the Quran or Hadith or Fiqh. Have a nice, Islamic library in your home, and then encourage your children to read these books, insha'Allah ta'ala. Another tip on how to improve that relationship: establish a TV-free evening in your home. I know this might be so hard. You're listening to me right now, but a TV-free evening. Today there's no TV. What we're gonna do instead is we're gonna do, maybe halal fun night, because some of our children, they think there's no fun in Islam. Everything is haram in Islam. La wallah. There's something called halal fun in Islam. Yes, halal fun. We're going to have maybe a little skit, a little play, a little game, a little contest and whatnot. Just me and my children, or maybe on the weekend. Attend a weekly halaqah. Maybe take them out to the masajid, and have some fun with your children. Make dua for your children. Wallahi. Make dua for your children, as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says. Really, one of the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer is a dua for the father or the mother to her or his children. Make dua for them, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide them and to preserve them, and to, insha'Allah ta'ala, grant them, success in this life and success in the hereafter. Never curse your children, despite or regardless of what they do, but instead make dua for your children. Asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to, insha'Allah ta'ala, grant them the highest level in Jannah, insha'Allah ta'ala. Success in this life and the life of the hereafter, insha'Allah ta'ala. Ameen, ameen, ameen. May Allah grant you such, very pious children. Make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your children like the Sahaba, the future leaders. May Allah make your children like, the children of the Sahaba, like Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali. These are the future, make them future carriers of the flag of La ilaha illallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your home like the home of the Sahaba and the home of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Jazakumullah khair, brothers and sisters and my dear viewers. May Allah bless you all. Barakallahu fikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.